Hey, well, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Protection. Today, I'm Bancroft being joined once again by Jimmy, and like always, Fluff.
Howdy.
What's up, people?
And today, we're going over a duel between me and Fluff. Now, I know in our last duel, Fluff had mentioned that we played an SS4 Vegeta versus a Gotenks, but come on, I put enough Gotenks on the channel as it is. If you want to see that, let us know. If not, we're continuing on. So today, Fluff is playing a Shenron Rangers deck, which actually was requested, and then I'm playing a take on it's a pan deck, but I'm using a lot of the free play mechanics of it and kind of burn elements of it. But ultimately, in my opinion, this is definitely better with the Burnhan later. So, my opening hand, I had 4 of the one-drop commies. So I put 3 cards back.
No issue with that. I feel like that was a great opening hand.
Yeah, I bet. So, but like always, if you enjoyed the content, like, subscribe, and click all those fun buttons.
Yep.
So, Fluff, I didn't know that the Shenron leader got to start Awakened.
Yeah. So it's Secret Spice. That's their Zord. Like, it just starts fully armed.
Holy shit! It's the Green Ranger Zord.
So this is a deck that I've been sitting on for a while. I actually recorded this deck, 4 or 5 months plus ago. Like, it was earlier this year. And just kind of things happened. It never made it to the channel. I never really played it at locals, but had done a lot of testing. So I basically threw it all in here, and then I updated it for set 10, set 11. And hopefully you guys like it. I felt really bad against Bancroft here.
Let's throw a little backstory. Second duel, actually. This deck has one surefire way of shutting down, I would say, 25% decks that are currently in circulation, is the best way to put it. And that is the one-drop Black Mass Sand.
Yeah. Dark Power Black Mass Sand is basically just like, if you don't want to play against Pan, play a Dark Power Black Mass Sand. Yep. It basically ruins the power that Red has in a lot of ways.
And I would recommend
a lot of decks. Like,
it does.
It's just such a damning card for a lot of matchups.
It really is. Opened 4 Dragon Balls. 2 of them were in life. I was mulliganing it. I was doing the mulligan for the Dark Power Black Mass Sand, just to slow him down. But I ended up getting 2 Dragon Balls in that. So that's always nice. Just kind of getting there closer. So I'm really close to Awakening at this point.
Yeah, that's always the risk that I'm scared of with Wish leaders. And that right now I'm actually working on a Wish deck, and in my test hands, it's like I get 4 or 5 Dragon Balls in life, like 1 out of every 5 or 6 games.
It feels bad when we're at this point in the game, but if you remember back to playing during the Wish blocks, I mean, it was common to open up 2, 3, 4 Dragon Balls in life, but it didn't matter because most Wish leaders, especially the popular ones, didn't swing on the front side.
Yeah, that's fair. And something about the old blocks that kind of seeing both Wish and Pan on the board right now with newer cards, and talk about one drops. I could see Crisis Crusher coming back into the meta like hardcore.
Yeah,
because of how many cards die to Black Mass Sand.
Yeah. I definitely see, especially once we move out of this best of 1 format into a more regular best of 3. I definitely see that as being a possibility.
So let's go over it real quick. I chose not to attack you because I want to keep you at 5 life to kind of go off the leader's effects. And I do play a couple cards that can deal with your Black Mass Sand.
Yeah.
And now thinking back on it, maybe swinging those 2 cards, forcing you to either combo cards would have been a better option anyways. Because combi gets crit if I give him if I tap 2 energy for it, and then crit could trigger other effects in my hand. So, and then I could either just play 2 energy for the Tamarind Drums, because 2 drop for a 20k beater with either double strike or crit with the Pan leader, and I draw off it.
Yeah, it felt like you were being a little you were attempting to be reactive in this matchup.
That's
Like you were
trying.
yeah, for sure. But I don't think there's anything wrong with putting pressure on my lead. And you like you weren't doing that, and it just kind of opened up a lot of setup window for me.
Yeah.
Where I was able to just amass a lot of resource, set myself up. I was able to play in on you when I was ready to play in.
And like, there's no example right there. I could have actually instead saved that card, but I think the cards in my hand were very valuable at the time. But I could have saved that, boosted it, but instead I just passed turn.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to make sure I benefit the deck to the maximum. Also, 3 energy and playing a red deck. Obviously, I charged the Topo earlier. You can assume I probably have one in my hand, which actually does not get affected by Black Mass Sand.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually expecting the Topo here. So I wanted to just test the waters as much as possible. I can't remember if it was this duel or the first one where I kind of walked into something that you did. And I was like, "Oh crap, that sucks." And if I had, if that had been in any other situation, it could have cost me the game. So it taught me a little bit of a lesson using these guys.
I think it was in the first game, so
I think it was too. Yeah,
you went into the 4-drop Ranger. You swung. I did have a Unison, so I was able to activate the Wolfang Fist. But in this case, I had Yamcha. Unfortunately, your Ranger does a barrier, so it does not get affected by it. But because you played it for skills, they would play Yamcha as a second window anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't really matter in this case. I'm targeting your Black Mass Sand.
Yeah.
And I get to draw with that.
Yeah. And but in the first duel, I think I had swung. I think I was trying to clear out your leader, and you ended up countering with Wolfang Fist.
Yeah.
And it killed the 4-drop. And I was like, "Oh, that sucks." So here, just using the Shenron's ability to play another Assemble the Squad, pull out another Dark Power Black Mass Sand.
So dirty. Then again, you probably would have brought out Mecha Gabora instead, because you do play that in this deck.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really like about that people aren't giving Black enough credit for. Black has a pretty stun control engine that pairs incredibly well with assembling the squad. So there's Dark Power Black Mass Sand, there's Crisis Crusher, there's Mecha Gabora, the Broken Seal.
Crisis Crusher is a 3-drop. Wouldn't be able to snag it with assembling, because assembling's 2 or less, correct?
Is it 2 or less?
Yeah, I believe it's 2 or less. But I do agree. Like, you have so many good options to grab with that card.
And think about if a Shenron leader, if you were getting shitty draws on the Dragon Balls, you could pay 2, assembling the squad, play Mecha Gabora, get another draw off that, get another ball off that. Because doesn't it pull any Dragon Ball?
It pulls a Dark Dragon Ball.
Oh, is it dark? Okay.
Yeah, it pulls a Dark Dragon Ball, which in my Dark Broly profile, I was talking about how in Dark Broly is the first time that skill's ever been relevant.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody else was running Mecha Gabora to grab like the Frieza 3-star ball, was it, that goes up the Xena Frieza chain?
Yeah.
So I think here I decide, I think it's this turn. Obviously I did not charge. But I think I do decide to push finally. Do I not?
Did it pass to your turn?
Yeah, it's my turn now. Yeah.
Okay.
I just increased Roshi's marker.
Yeah, you hadn't been drawing a lot, so I think you said no charge. I think you're sitting on 4 cards in hand, 5 cards in hand.
Oh, yeah. I got at least 3 different free plays in my hand that I can't do anything about.
Yeah. I felt so bad when we started recording these because I did not include Dark Power as kind of like, oh, Bancroft's playing Pan. I'm just going to include kind of like the tech that just shuts him down. It just so happened to be the shakeup. And had I even thought about it while we were building, I would have encouraged you to not play Pan.
No, we talked about it afterwards. I do agree. But this does show another side of this deck where you still can benefit. Like, I think ultimately it's still better as a burn-on leader because that turn 1, Well, you still had you went first. So if I would have gone first, it would be a completely different story. Sure, but
Yeah.
Piccolo Unison would probably be a good add-in towards decks like this because it has that +1 where it negs by 5,000, so I could just turn around and kill it and then go off on that.
I think Piccolo could have been really good.
But I played 4 Roshis in this and I think 2 Slugs because Slug has crit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I might have gone, you might have done like a 2-2-2, play 6 total Unisons, but just play like a tech package of Unisons.
Yeah.
Or even cut the Slugs in exchange for the Piccolos, just to have that kind of, +1, -5K on something on the field. It would get rid of a lot of problem cards.
So what matchups have you had with Shenron Rangers so far?
So we just threw it together the other night to play this. Mm-hmm. But when I was testing it before, I think I played it against like old, like it was like set. It might have been right as set 10 came out that I put it. If that gives you kind of a time. But I think I played it against Gotenks. I think I played it against some old multicolor stuff, like maybe Cooler. But I haven't played it against much in the current meta. I'd be interested to see how it fares against something like Dark Brawly or Red Brawly or Vijex even.
That's what I was about to ask, because I feel like the green matchup is going to be very, very rough for the deck with the amount of KOing and the counterplays and stuff like Dormant shutting your chain down or your attacks down. Like
Dormant is probably the biggest rip. The big thing is that because of the way that the deck floats and uses itself and draws, it does have a very good exchange. So if your opponent counters on the 4-drop with Charismatic Villain, Frieza, they don't get to pop the 4.
Mm-hmm.
So they would want to do it on the 5. But at that point, the 5 is getting a meaningful war and a draw. You can recur the 1s with power bursts. You can Protector of the People. You have the Deborahs that can stun other decks. Like, if you're playing against Dark Brawly and they go to restart their chain after you've disrupted it some way, you can counterplay with the Deborah. If you're uncomfortable playing the Deborah, you can play Rebellion Hammer. But I think Rebellion Hammer you have to have 15 or more cards in the warp to get it for free.
I think it's around that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I went in hard, played Bardock.
Yeah.
Which I think I've done once, one other time in another duel. But you know what? It's fine. It's a double strike. If you negate, it restands.
Yeah. And so here I put Protector of the People on, which is just going to encourage you to not attack because you don't have a lot of combo power. Yeah. So I think you end up swinging Leader in Unison here, and you might do one more battle card.
I swing with 2 battle cards.
You swing with 2.
Yeah. So you're paying 1. I think you're negating with Power Burst. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get that Dark Power back.
And maybe I should have swung with Bardock first. I've been 20k. I had a couple cards to combo with. Maybe you wouldn't negated that one. Maybe you would have, and then it would have had a 30k double strike afterwards coming at you.
Yeah.
So here I combo with Pan. Combo with Yamcha to make Pan 15, and then I think 20. I'm trying to get that hit to go through. Mm-hmm. I know these next couple of hits are going to be important if I can get them to pull off. But with any Shenron deck, your hand is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think I'm sitting on like 19 cards in hand at this point.
Yeah.
Which sounds absurd, but then you think of other decks in the meta right now and how much you're having to invest into getting that hand size when something like Gotenks just draws the entire deck just from playing its chain.
Yeah.
It's looking back on it, you really don't realize the power creep until it's there. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like Shenron is the offender that keeps Black from getting like equivalent free counterplays, equivalent free negates.
Yeah.
Like it is the reason that we're not getting those things for the black color line.
And to go over it real quick, the reason why I'm pushing so hard, even though I'm not in a kill state, I'm really just trying to thin his hand down. I know I can survive if all he has is this one card on the field, which potentially could do 8 damage to me, all being crit, because he swings once, restands it, use Shenron's leader to boost it to a triple attack, and then swing 30 more times. But I'm confident I could survive against that. So that's why I kind of went all out here. Thin your hand down, get rid of any important cards you may have, and then hope that I can survive this turn and go back into the next round and to finish you off.
My plan here is to use this Cataplesia or whatever his name is to use this Power Ranger to force as much out of you as possible.
Yeah.
So I think I decide to go on ahead. Or no. Well,
yeah, you do.
I thought I did. I was like, why am I swinging? But I decide to go in and commit to the Shenron offense here. You're tapped out. The best that you can do is a free counterplay in your hand. Yeah. You don't have the ability to commit to a topo for the remainder of this turn, and your hand is low. And I'm about to hit you for 4 crits, and I don't think you have any way to combo these hits.
I do have cards in my hand. The problem's so I take the first 2 hits. I get into a awakened condition. It doesn't bother me at all. You swing for the third one. I awaken, if correct, but I go ahead and take the damage.
Yeah, I think you do.
And so there's all your swings. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm pretty safe right now, I hope.
No. I had the entire chain in my hand, and I was debating on if I should go in and try to build up the whole chain. But I knew that at a point that you were going to meaningfully counterplay this, I wouldn't be investing all of my energy.
Yeah.
Before it's too late. Like, I'll put the 4-drop on. I won't swing with the 4-drop because I think your unison's at 4 markers right now. Or it might be at 1.
It's at 1.
It's at 1.
Yeah.
So I would have been safe, potentially, to swing with that 4-drop.
No, it's only the Wolfane Fist requires have a unison. I think it's the
Merciless Barrage requires 2 markers on the unison.
And
gotcha.
I was straight there. I was showing like I wish you would have swung with the 4-drop instead, but you're like, no, I learned from last game not to do that.
Yeah,
and that's what sealed you the victory. I hit it just to weaken it. But it's still, regardless, even if I survive this attack, you pay 1 energy, go straight back into the 6-drop. I mean, that's why I was like, whatever.
Yeah, it's such a ruthless engine. If you can 6 swing twice and then have enough energy to build back up after putting the 30 or putting the 10k triple attack on, it's ridiculous. Like, this Shenron leader still has the potential to be incredibly good.
To tell you the truth, this is we've talked about this before. This is the first time I've ever seen the Catapesla chain actually work. I've tested. I was so hyped when Divine Multiverse come out and this dropped. This was the only deck that I wanted to play, and I ended up with. Was that?
What were you testing it with?
So I was playing it with Kidku, and then I switched into a Surge Coup variant, and the Surge Coup variant actually worked really well. But I tested it against Trader Dende with Jordan. Jordan was still playing Trader Dende back then.
He still is.
Yeah, still is. Played it against, I think, Cooler and Surge Broly. And I had very little success outside of the Surge Coup variant. So I was always really under the impression that the chain was trash, that it was just basically asking to be counterplayed. And I still think it's a weaker chain, but I think that Shenron is where it's going to find its home.
I'll say this. It's no more fragile than the Brawly swap chain.
That's fair.
Like it's no less fragile than that. It doesn't have the leader recovery, but it does have versions of stun that Brawly doesn't have. So the 5-drop is spot removal. Brawly doesn't have an in-engine spot removal. You have to take in something like max power Kamehameha to get that done. It's got, it's got a searcher. Brawly's got a searcher. Multiple pieces on this have barrier. I don't think anything in the Brawly chain has barrier.
The 6-drop has upstrike crit. Yeah. No, I don't think you have barrier.
Yeah, none of it has barrier. So it's no less fragile than that. Now, maybe it doesn't replace the cards in hand as you're evolving up, but Shenron overcompensates for that with the pure amount of draws. And every time that I've played this deck, I've made it to a 6. I think there was one match where every time I started to go up the chain, I got counterplayed on 5.
Yeah.
I think, and that might have been against Gotenks.
That's usually where it happens. It's either the 4-drop gets killed somehow, ignoring barrier, or the 5-drop gets hit.
Yeah,
and
actually, I realized afterwards, if correct, now correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy, but I could have actually counterplayed instead of him done timing 1. I just realized that before you played the 4-drop, I could have actually timing 1 with the Yamcha, hit the 1-drop, hit max power before the thing fell, and then since it has no target, it goes to the drop, wouldn't have? Because it's before it's actually played.
Yes. That would be on the announcement of play, so that would open up window 1.
Yeah.
You could drop that. The skill would resolve because of Yamcha's weird wording or weird choice of wording. It would fall into that counterplay window. The counterplay resolves before the actual card comes into play.
Yeah, and then the card would have gone to the drop instead. I just realized that as we were watching that. I'm like, man, I could have done this instead.
That is probably the only instant where resolving Yamcha on a counter window 1 hits the 2 cards on the field, and one of them being one of the targets being played. Because the EX evolved target is still technically the card being played, but you're able to hit that step. So the only way that wouldn't work for me is if I had like 3 1-drops on the.
Yeah.
So,
but with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for tuning in. We will have either later today the profile for Shenron Rangers on the channel, or it'll be first thing tomorrow morning. So stay tuned. We'll see how the holidays work out. And with that being said, thank you all for joining once again. And Jimmy, last words.
If it burns when you pee, you probably shouldn't play the police brutality chain.
Probably not.
And Fluff.
As always, read your cards, know your plays. Happy holidays. Fluff out.